Welcome back to another episode of Lit Financially, the channel where we give you simple and practical ways to help you illuminate your financial gain. Of course, it's your boy Marcus, and today on Lit Financially, we're here in beautiful Tulsa, Oklahoma. And what we're going to do today is we're going to actually dive into one of the most incredible and inspiring stories you probably never heard. It's the story of Greenwood and Black Wall Street. This is an absolutely true story. We got a lot of great information to share today. I'm hyped. I'm ready to go. It's Lit Financially. Let's do it. Located in the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street was one of the most prominent and prosperous Black communities in the entire United States during the early 20th century. It gained national recognition for its affluential African American population, and it was a thriving business district, so thriving that it was coined Black Wall Street. Back in 1906, there was a brother named O.W. Gurley who bought 40 acres of land in Tulsa. His dream was to create a self-sufficient Black community where African Americans could really thrive. And guess what? It worked. By the 1920s, this place known as the Greenwood District was truly popping. This stretch alone had 4 hotels, 2 newspapers, 8 doctors, 7 barbers, 9 restaurants, and half a dozen professional offices. You could shop for groceries, play pool, go to a theater, eat dinner, get your hairstyle. You wouldn't even have to leave the block. Greenwood was one of the few places in the country offering Black citizens a 3-dimensional life, a life where you really escape the treacherous and threatening daily aspects of being held up in America. Take Lua and John Williams, who owned a confectionery at 102 Greenwood Avenue and the East End Garage, or J.B. Stratford, who opened the posh and swaggy 54-room Stratford Hotel at 301 Greenwood Avenue in 1918. There was even Dr. R.T. Bridgewater, a physician with a practice in the Woods building, who also owned 17 rental houses, was also a community leader. We're talking about over 600 businesses. You name it, they had their own school district, their own post office, they had public transportation. This was truly a self-sustaining community. But to truly understand the significance of Black Wall Street, we really need to understand the context of America. After slavery in the South, many Blacks either continued working for the very same people that enslaved them, or some of them chose to become sharecroppers. Sharecropping is a legal agreement in which a landowner allows a tenant to use the land in return for a share of the crops produced. Although Blacks were no longer legally enslaved, sharecroppers were kept in place by debt, making it nearly impossible for them to actually own the land. As their income was dependent on both their profits from the sale of the crop and the whims of the landowners, Black sharecroppers had to find means to sustain themselves during the rest of the year. Given these challenges in the South, many Blacks moved north or west, bringing their skills and craftsmanship with them. Of course, they excelled in various trades learned during slavery, and those trades were actually passed down through the generations. Despite being systematically blocked from joining guilds and labor unions, Black craftspeople honed their skills and thrived in the building trades. Affluent whites coined the term unskilled labor, but freed Blacks for anything but unskilled. There's really no such thing as unskilled labor because it takes skill to pick cotton and do all the other work, so-called menial tasks assigned to enslaved people. Most people don't know, but Africans brought many valuable skills to American culture. They practiced inoculation long before it was known in America, and even introduced rice cultivation to the Europeans. Blacks were skilled at metalworking, and with many working as blacksmiths, they can actually support themselves pretty well. Black women excelled at cooks, weavers, pottery makers, and even wet nurses for white children. These skills were a testament to their resilience and expertise in various trades. Greenwood was one of the few places in the country offering Black citizens less than 6 decades out of enslavement a chance at true prosperity and community. Some poor whites also faced dire economic conditions. Sharecropping and tenant farming trapped blacks and even poor white families for many generations. Once proud whites often became objects of ridicule, and some responded with anger and violence, frequently targeting vulnerable black people. This tension further fueled the social and economic divides of that era. However, as you might imagine, when black wealth started to grow, jealousy and anger festered among poor neighboring whites. Now, Greenwood and its burgeoning black community was really beginning to take off. Greenwood wasn't just about business, it was a cultural hub too. Legends like Dr. A.C. Jackson, who was one of the top black surgeons at the time, and of course Booker T. Washington, an American educator, author, and orator, they were both associated with Greenwood. The Greenwood community was all about resilience and entrepreneurship. On May 31st, a young black man named Dick Rowland was falsely accused of assaulting a white woman, Sarah Page. The situation escalated quickly and a white mob attacked Greenwood. The most common explanation is that Rowland might have stepped on Page's foot as he was entering the elevator, causing her to scream. The next day, however, in the Tulsa Tribune reported that Rowland, who had been picked up by the police, had attempted to rape Page. Early evening, there was once again lynch talk on the streets of Tulsa. By 7:30 p.m., hundreds of whites had gathered outside the Tulsa Community Courthouse, demanding that the authorities hand over Dick Rowland. Then literally all hell broke loose. For 18 hours, chaos ensued. A vicious mob looted, burned, and destroyed literally everything in their path. Estimations suggest that 100 to 300 blacks were killed, thousands and thousands were left homeless. 35 city blocks were completely burned to the ground. This was one of the worst incidents of racial violence in American history. Yet, it was largely erased from the history books. The financial toll of the massacre was staggering. Property losses claimed totaled $1.8 million at the time, which is equivalent to $27 million today. The biggest and final insult of the Tulsa Massacre was actually the silence that ensued. For decades, Tulsa deliberately ignored and covered up what happened in Greenwood. Despite the devastation, the community's resilience led to a partial rebuilding of Black Wall Street during the 1920s and 30s. It wasn't really the same, but the spirit of Greenwood lived on. Today, Greenwood is a symbol of resilience and hope. The legacy of Black Wall Street is now being honored with the Greenwood Cultural Center, which opened in 2021. Of course, it's a finance channel, so let's talk a little bit about how Blacks have more recently interacted with finance. Personal finance and financial literacy has become really huge buzzwords in social media. These topics are actually making a real impact. According to the Wall Street Journal, almost 40% of Black Americans own stock. That this growth is led by young investors under 40. Around 70% of Black participants under 40 are investing compared to 60% of their white counterparts. What's fueling this revolution? Awareness is becoming plentiful given the rise of social media. However, despite a 60% increase in the median wealth for Black families, there's still a really big gap. The median wealth of Black families is about $250,000 less than white families. Minorities of all races in America always have been strong and certainly understand the value of hard work. However, in this day and age, it's extremely and ultimately important for us to work smarter, not harder. You know, in our parents' day and our grandparents' generation, you really couldn't get away with just working harder. Literally, if you calculate the advances of AI, we're no longer in an economy where you can get away with just, getting another job and doing the things that we've done in the past. It's time to set a new precedent. The future, your future, is all about planning and investing. It's going to be a wrap for me today, but if you found this video enlightening, make sure that you 100% smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. This has been The Financially. Peace.